Hi guys. How you guys doing today? My teeth look extra white. Ooh. What's up, dude?
Long time no see, man.
What you up to today?
Man, just tinker all the non-artist shit and more artist shit, but all that other stuff I don't get to get done to the weekend. So,
Well, do tell. Give us a little insight on that. What
um, as far
what's
as like,
something
so like,
about being an artist that people don't know about?
I would well, so when you guys came and saw me, it was you and then what's your girl's name again?
Emily.
Emily. She's awesome. And then that third girl that I just roasted. um,
Heaven, yes.
so that I guess the best way to say that would say this would be like that is kind of the way that I keep my chops up. But the equivalent of a side hustle, but it kind of like rolls into your main hustle, which is again the goal is to get in front of hundreds of thousands of people one day. So, but it's all like it takes a while to get there. But that's kind of the weekend. Me playing in town and around there is kind of how I pay my bills and feed my dog and the whole nine yards. I think he's running around back here. Don't mind him. Uh,
You only
but
have one dog?
then when you're not, like I know I'm here with you today, it's I've got rights and stuff. There's recording, there's social media is something I'm still kind of getting a handle on. TikTok's actually starting to work really good for me. I'm meeting a lot of awesome people through that too. So it's but it's all that stuff that doesn't involve what you saw when you came and saw me at Whiskey Roll. That was still a good time. That's what kind of like de-stresses me. It's nice when your work is de-stresses you at the same time. So
Yes. Well, for everybody watching right now, and for everybody who does watch us in the future, as you guys, a lot of you may know, Emily and I went to Nashville a couple weekends ago. First bar we happened to go to that morning was Whiskey Row. Mr. Greg Pratt was playing up on stage,
dude.
having a good old time. We sat down, had some brunch. Greg was singing some great tunes. Sounds amazing live. So if any of you get a chance to go see Greg play live, definitely do that. He's also having fun with the crowd, which is what we personally enjoyed. I think there's a lot of great artists who have great singing voices, but I think what makes a show more memorable for me, and I think for a lot of people, is when the artist is having fun with the crowd. And that's what we certainly enjoyed with you. When you're in Nashville, there's obviously a lot of bachelorette parties, and you were having some fun with one of the bachelorette parties.
Yeah, they were. It's so. I was talking to my manager about this today. When you get out there, it's kind of like you get because again these days like everybody gets mad at something. So like I've been playing for a little while in Nashville, and I finally hit the point where I'm just kind of like, well, I'm gonna have fun with this. So like, if you're wearing anything weird or you're acting a fool or anything, you're gonna become part of the show. Like I can't not do it. I can't. I watch what's that guy's name? Matt Rife. I watch a lot of Matt Rife, and he just kind of roasts people.
Don't mention that name around my girlfriend, okay? That's her
Really?
pass. So
That's awesome. I'll make sure to never say that in her presence. If that's cool. No, that's funny as shit, dude. Yeah, it's kind of like it's got to be entertaining for me too, because like music it's a form of therapy for me, but it's got to be something that everybody has fun with, and you get out, and that's what I was talking to my manager about. You get out, and it's like you get out on a tightrope, no net, and you figure out what works and what doesn't. But sometimes people just take stuff the wrong way. I know there was one weekend where a girl left crying, and I didn't even say anything bad. I think she was. Do you know that meme where it's that little girl that's kind of like looking at you like WTF out the. It's this little blonde girl. Anyway,
yeah,
she was looking at me like that, and I said, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" She's like, "It's my face." And then, I'm probably one or two shots of whiskey in, and I go, "Ouch." She just like fell apart and left. I was like, "Oh man," but do you see that's not even that bad. But most of the time, I feel like when people come into my shows, they come in all balled up with stress from everything they have to deal with in their normal lives, and like my job. I feel is to sit down there and loosen them up in any way possible, and give them a break. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's kind of, again, with the new single we just put out, that's why we wrote that song, is to just kind of like encourage people that sometimes it's okay to lose your shit, because if you're carrying it around everywhere, you just one day you explode and there's shit everywhere. So, you know, it's important to kind of offload that stress and you have to allow yourself to offload that stress.
Yeah.
So,
well, since you brought it up, why don't you tell us a little bit about your new single, Backwoods Therapy?
cool. Yeah, dude. So again, I want to thank you for having me on here, bro. And I'm definitely gonna work with you guys. I want you guys to make a line dance to it.
We would love to. We would love to.
So I guess the way I can probably say this is that the first 4 songs I released since we started last year were kind of the foundations of who I am. I was growing up, and now we're getting into the experiences that I had like in late high school, college, where, you know, around Memphis. You okay, buddy? Okay. We had these things called backwoods parties where you would offload your stress. And it's the first place I ever tried moonshine, the 200 proof stuff that you can light on fire. But we thought we were stressed back then, and it was just like grades and stuff, you know what I mean? But like nowadays, it's me and Jason sat down in the living room and said, we need to write something that lets people know it's okay to have fun and let loose and not be all tied up all the time. So it's basically a song that describes the backwoods parties that we had on the outskirts of Memphis, Fraser, LaGrange. Like, you drive out of the city to get some of that stuff, and just kind of the good time we had. And we remember we weren't thinking about the next day, we were just thinking about that night and tearing it up and having fun. And it made the whole next week a lot easier.
Well, tell us a little bit what a fun night out with Greg Pratt looks like.
Oh, today is not quite a backwoods party. I don't usually drink too much moonshine anymore, but you kind of saw it there, except that was brunch. Like, you get out, you tear it up, you play some songs, have a good time. There are times where I'll go out when I'm not at work and sit on other people's shows, and then I'll get asked to play a song. I'll get up and sing. And my problem is when I go out is that, you know, I want everybody to have a good time. So I end up, you know, buying new friends shots and stuff. So it's not a bad thing, but man, when I wake up in the morning, I feel it in my freaking bank account for sure.
Good way to make some new friends.
Oh yeah, but you know, I mean, there's so much crap out there right now, man, and it can weigh on you. So yeah, but yeah. Well, every night's a little different.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Well, you talked about coming up on stage and singing with people. I saw that you posted a video of you with Lainey Wilson today.
Yeah, dude, that was so cool. And we just kind of fell into that. That was during CMA week, I think, last year. It was Ward Gunther and Ryan Walega, who I know Ward Gunther's with Whiskey Jam. So he kind of texted me. He's like, hey, I got a special event for you. And the guy that was over it is a guy named Ed Warren, who's a wonderful guy up in Chicago. Big birthday party. And they say, you're going to get in and you're going to sing and you're going to play between acts, but also you're going to MC. So I got up there and I got to introduce who all was there. Breland and Ernest and who else? Larry Fleet. Absolutely amazing. He played. So Ernest played Flower Shops right there, and it was at Wannabes, I think, down there. And then Larry played Where I Find God. And what was kind of cool about it too is I got notified at the last minute that me and my buddy Rylan had to learn Lainey's songs. Like it was like last minute. I'm like scrambling the night before, doing all my homework and making sure I get it right, get the tempo right, because that's why I wear that tambourine on my foot, is because that enables me to kind of keep time, and then that's kind of what my body clues into, and then I focus on everything else. But if I don't have that tambourine, when it's a full band and the drummers got me, that's cool. But that tambourine when I'm playing solo really helps kind of keep tempo. So I get up there and I came up to Lainey, and my manager knew Lainey from when she first moved to town. And like the story, she says she was plugging her RV into somebody else's power, and my manager knew that guy. And I walked up and I'm like, I did my best. I did my best to learn your stuff. I'm gonna, and she's like, and you could tell she's someone that just loves people, because she came up and she said, Greg Pratt, because she already knew Rylan, the fiddler I was with. She was like, I've heard all your records. I love your records. I was like, oh, wow. So I'm trying not to like fanboy at the moment. She's like, you're going to be fine. I was like, okay, cool. And it ended up being great. What did we play? We played Sideways and then the one in the video.
Yep.
Yeah. That's fantastic songs. But yeah, that was kind of a cool thing put together by Ward and Ed Warren, and you got to meet some really kind of cool high profile folks, which is, and introduce them.
2 weeks before we saw you, we did see Lainey in Gaffney, South Carolina. She was playing with Randy Houser.
That's a hell of a show, though.
Dude, it was so good. Have you seen Randy live?
I have not seen him live yet, but I listened to his songs. I think he's from near Memphis, isn't he? Somewhere around there? I don't know if I remember.
Yeah, but yeah. It was a absolutely phenomenal show. Did you get a chance to talk to Breland at all?
A little bit. I think he was kind of with his guys, and I came up and asked him, is there anything you want me to include or say when I introduce you? And he was just like, no, you're good. So great guy, kind guy. But we didn't get in depth. So I talked more, I think, with Lainey and Larry.
Unfortunately, I haven't met Lainey. I did get to meet Breland earlier this year. He played in Charleston. He was super nice guy.
On a good show.
He dances, he sings. I mean, and his vocal range is incredible. He's got everything. He's awesome.
What's up, Kobe?
So do you only have one dog?
Yeah, just one. We live like on the 20th floor or something up here, and just kind of we got a good deal on it, so we're gonna stay here as long as we can. We really want to move out of the city, because I know right now I'm down to playing. Kobe's out there on an oil rig. I heard that, brother. Kind of want to get out of town a little ways, maybe down towards Murfreesboro, down around some little more suburban areas or some wooded areas, because the city's great, but if right now I'm working on reducing my load down here and working on really getting out of town and playing more. So if I end up getting down to about like 1 day a week of business in town, I might try to get out of here. But until then, I think it's gonna be one dog. I get memes on Instagram all the time, like, this is a sign to get your dog a sibling, and I'm like, can't do it.
We got cats, so sure. We decided to get two of them, because I was like, I don't want to have just one. I want to have a buddy. And thankfully they're brothers, and they do everything together. Anywhere they lay together, they both sleep together. It's fun.
I'm definitely allergic to cats, bro.
Yeah. Well, so so is my girlfriend. She's like slightly allergic to the cats, but I don't know.
I feel like if they know that, they love you more, though, because every cat I've ever been around won't leave me the hell alone.
We don't really have that problem with ours. One of them just likes to lay in corners all the time. One of them likes to hop in the bed with us, but he only lays. I'll kind of turn the camera here. You can see my throw blanket at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
So he doesn't lay anywhere else on the bed. He only lays on the throw blanket.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
Are you new-ish in Nashville? How long have you?
No, I've been. I remember I got here 7 years ago this June. So the first year I got here, all I did was work in the kitchen. Was cutting sushi, and he's a seasoned vet. Yeah, it's been a lot of tequila shots in 7 years. But yeah, no, I didn't do any music at first because I didn't know how to really interface. I came here with $3 in my pocket, left college with a credit left to graduate, third of a class, and just like said, I got to do this. And the teacher that was like presiding over my last class kind of gave me the finger and said nope, and failed me. So I came here anyway and got a job cutting sushi and rolling sushi, and still got the scar here. Someone was pointing out the other day. Somebody nailed me in kind of like tapped me on the shoulder blades as they were going by. A new guy just got cut, and I'm sitting here with sushi knives, only cut seaweed, rice, and fish, so they're sharp as shit. So he went, "Hi, I'm out of here. See you, Greg." And the thing went, and the knife started spinning, and I tried to like pull my hands out, and it clipped me right here all the way down to the bone. So I thought my guitar career was gone, but that's what I was doing the first year, and then it was just everywhere in the city, all the time. You could do like 2 a day. So I just played like 1 or 2 songs for free 2 or 3 times a day. That was end of year number 1, beginning of year number 2. Then I got a job as a door guy / bouncer at a bar on 2nd Avenue. which is now closed. But through that, one band called out, and they said, "Hey, you brought a guitar. You want to get on stage?" And I played my first 4-hour shift, which was awful. But after that, it was just kind of like, you know, I got asked to play on Broadway, off Broadway, which is I'm super happy for everyone that's kind of worked with me since then. But it's a lot. I feel, I do want to say this too. I know there's a lot of stigma about Broadway, especially in the music industry. They say you'll never have somebody from a label coming to look for anybody on Broadway just because it's a tourist trap and there's a lot of places, a lot of bad things you can step into. But there's one thing that it does, and I think there was an interview with, I think it was Tracy Lawrence and someone else where they said, like, you know, thank God for playing in bars, because you get to learn how to play for 5 or 10 people that did not come there to see you, and they don't care who the hell you are, and you have to give them a show that they'll hopefully remember. And that's really hard to do, especially when you're first starting out. But that teaches you how to eventually, you know, it's an exchange of energy between you and the people that are watching you. And eventually that trains you to manage that energy when you get up to, say, 50,000 people, 60,000 people or something like that. So, but yeah, it's been a long journey, but at the same time, it's like it's supposed to be a lifelong thing. I know I'm not going to be doing anything else in my life, and this is it. So we're gonna take it as far as it can possibly go. I know artists can get discouraged and stuff because it's like, I've been here 5 years, I've been here 8 years or something, and then you hear the artists that have made it big talk, and Lainey said she was like 11 or 12 years, Jordan Davis 12 years, Luke Bryan 10 years, Chris Stapleton was freaking in his 40s when he finally hit. He was writing for everybody for a while, but it just takes time, and you can't give up. And that's the biggest thing, is that there's a lot of people, I know a lot of people that I came here with around the same time that, you know, something happened or they went somewhere else, or it just found out it wasn't for them. So it's tough. If you know in your heart that this is what you want to do, then you sink your teeth into it and you hold on like a freaking pit bull, dude.
So it took you, 2 years before you were able to play music full time in Nashville?
I'd say probably 2 or 3 before I actually got paid, and then I had to treat it like, you know, you make merch, you treat it like it would be a normal show, and you work your originals in to where it's not just it's not just a 4-hour shift where you're singing other people's songs. I know some places it's really hard to do that with, because they tell you what to do or tell you how to do it, but I met the best friends I think I've ever had around the country from my show because of, like, Kobe's right here. He says he's got the quickest hands is a song that I wrote with Davis, Corley, and Mark Addison Chandler. It's the original stuff. It's the stories that you tell about your life that kind of make you lifelong friends. And then they go back to where they come from and they talk about you, and then they come back and visit 3 years later. Yeah. You're like, holy crap, what the hell you been up to? Like, Kobe, I had no idea you were on a damn oil rig. Dana's been to a show before. So is Molly. That's crazy. But they're friends that you kind of keep in touch with. And every time you release something, you kind of throw it their way and say, what do you think? And it's a full thing. Going back to Lainey is amazing at that, because she's so in love with humanity. And she shows that in everything she does, every show she does, every interview, every time she sings. That's the kind of person that just has it, and that's the it factor you're talking about. You can't fake loving other humans, and I think that's a very beautiful thing about music and a true artist being able to do that.
I agree. And I think when people come to a show, whether it's your music or the act, you want to make people feel something, because, like you were talking about, you want people to have an escape from reality. And, you know, when we're at your show and you're up there, you know, making us laugh and messing with us and talking with other people, you know, we kind of forget about what's going on with our day-to-day lives and really lets us be on vacation, you know. I
kind of destroyed that girl a little bit. I'm sorry about it. Tell her I say sorry.
No, she's super chill. Listen, I give her crap all the time, because that's Emily's best friend. So Emily is from Fort Lauderdale. So long story short, whenever I went on vacation a year and a half ago, is when I met Emily. And we met at a dance hall, and then, you know, a few months later we started talking, and then she moved here earlier this year. So her best friend comes up to come visit us, and we drive. It was the Lainey Wilson show, actually. So she came here because we got tickets to. We got hooked up with Peachtree, and they hooked us up for the Lainey Wilson show. So she came up to come to the show with us and to go spend the weekend in Greenville, South Carolina. Well, we drive all the way up there. We go dance the night after the Lainey Wilson show. We're on the way home. Heather just starts puking in my car. Like, she's sitting behind me on my shoulder in my car. And I mean, I wasn't mad. She's a really sweet girl, but I've been giving her the living hell since that date because it took me a week just to get the vomit smell out of the car.
That's funny, dude.
So I don't mind you giving her shit. She can take it. She's pretty great.
And that's, oh man, it takes so long to wash that out for sure.
Got all over the shoulder. So what's the process now? You said, you're trying to play outside of Nashville now. What is that process like getting gigs outside of Nashville? And how do you try and manage that? Because obviously you have a cost of, traveling. And what all goes into that?
I'd say kind of where we are now, whether it depends on what kind of gig they want, whether it's, full band, trio, acoustic, solo. I'll get a lot of one-offs that are acoustic solos just because I put the tambourine on and I go out there and I can, but it's a completely different when you add a fiddle or you add a cajon and a fiddle or you add a whole full band with a whole 9 yards. But kind of the plan we have right now is to release a new song every 5 weeks and just keep hitting it, and releasing new content, promoting it, release another one. And we have all these songs recorded. We're about to go in and record more. And for the fans that have kind of been with us for forever, we're redoing a couple of their favorites too, just to kind of put them back in. Because I was a very different singer when I started. My voice has evolved a lot over the last 7 years. So we're kind of redress it and cut it the way that, what was her name? Elle Langley, I think, is something. Yeah. She had an interview I just saw. She's amazing. She's
good friends with Lainey. She was performing that night too.
Nice. She said something that really resonated with me, where she's like, when you come here, you don't know. You might know who you are as a person, but you might not know who you are as an artist, and nobody teaches you because nobody can tell you what you are. So it takes time to find your sound, find your identity, find out. And we've, over the last 7 years, especially in the last 2, we've really found my identity and sound and everything. So that's kind of why we're recutting some of the old stuff that I wrote on in the very beginning, putting into the new kind of the feeling that we finally settled on as the Greg Pratt sound. But we'll just keep releasing music until it's time to do a full body of work. And I guess every time we put those out, again, we have radio picking up Backwards Therapy right now. There's a bunch of stations, more stations every day adding it. And again, this is my first foot into the radio world. So it's a lot of people won't just sit down and play someone that's new, but you get shows that shows that people ask for out of that. We had a couple of people calling us like, does he travel? Does he get down here? And that there's a whole process that my manager usually deals with to kind of price that correctly. You have your cost of whether you're bringing a full band, or you're doing it in a van or a bus, or you doing what exactly are you bringing? How's it all going to go down? How long do they want you to play? And industry standards, again, should be lodging and passage, and then fee. Everybody does it a little bit different, but if we can do it, we'll do it. But again, if I come out with a full band, I will never ask these guys to come out and play for less than they're making in town. One, because that's just business. Two, they need to be making more than they would have otherwise made in town. And that's just to them. There are times where I've taken a hit as the artist. I know in the past, artists have, some artists, I guess the way that I've heard it done is that they're the artists. So like they've taken the lion's share of stuff. And that happens, I think, later on. I know a lot of people that do that, but starting out, and these guys have families to feed, and they have other opportunities in town. So there are times where I've taken a hit monetarily, especially especially if it's like a benefit or something like St. Jude or some stuff like that I really, really believe in or anything like that, charity stuff. I love doing that stuff. But it's as far as everything involved, it's all got to make sense.
Yeah.
And it takes time to set all that up, which is why I have a manager, because if I had to, I got to focus on being an artist. And if I had to do all that too, I'd go freaking crazy. There's a lot to it.
I did have a question. Mandy's asked what platforms your music is on. He is on everything: Spotify, YouTube, Apple, right? Or you're on everything?
Yeah, they got like Tidal and Deezer now and stuff for like high fidelity listening and all that stuff. And yeah, if you have, that's apparently what they're for. I'm learning more about that stuff every day, but yeah, our guy sends it out to literally everything. It's on YouTube as well. And also, speaking of this, if you have a local radio station, we sent it out to everyone. So everyone should have it. If you want to hear it spun on your local radio station, call them up, please, and hound them about spinning it, because backwoods therapy everybody's got it.
I want to touch on that with the radio. Before we do that, though, I want you to describe to me, you talked about finding a sound. Describe to me and everybody what exactly that sound could be.
Okay, so if you're asking about mine, so
yep.
I grew up listening to a bunch of different stuff. Again, my first two CDs were Blink 182 and Linkin Park. Mom and Dad played everything from the Beatles to Alabama to there was some Garth in there too. My friends listened to Cash because their parents listened to Cash, and their parents also would listen to Merle Haggard and all the Outlaws and stuff. And then getting into the 90s, and again, I'm a 90s kid, so there's Tim McGraw. That was the first country song I actually truly ever heard was "Don't Take the Girl." That's the first one, and just randomly by chance, and I told him that song was the first country song I ever heard, and then he got up on stage and freaking played it. I'm like, damn it, because I said some stupid stuff, but I was a new kid, so like you say stupid stuff. So I had a lot to draw from. I would say in Memphis, I grew up around Beale Street, which is blues and jazz, and rock. Hey. Here we go. Was Madeline having this trouble this time? Hey, yo! Shh, you know better. So, man is a monster. So what I love sounds like pedal steel. Sir, I'm gonna crate you if you don't shut up. Pedal steel, dobro, fiddle, stuff like that. Country sounds, country subject matter. I will say, pulling from a lot of other stuff that I grew up with too, you notice in Backwoods Therapy, there's a cadence to the lyrics and how they're written, how they're delivered, that kind of snaps. And then there's some like in the song we're about to release on September 8th, which is our next one, comes out. I'm going to announce it here in a minute. Right. It's more country oriented in the way that it's delivered. So there's a lot of different shades of who I am as a person, and we kind of let those come out. The best way I could probably describe it, there was a guy on TikTok that said this the other day. He said, you have that traditional classic sound. Yep. But there's a new beat to it. There's a different heartbeat to it that makes it feel fresh. And that's, yeah. I was like, if that's it, if that's what you're getting, then that's because we've been trying to nose that right in for like 7 years. So we finally got it. But that's what it is. It's the stuff that reminds you of home, reminds you of small towns, reminds you of the back porch, and reminds you of where you're from, where you've been, and where you are, but it's got this heartbeat and this life in it. But I would probably say my favorite instruments that aren't acoustic guitar and what I do, it's got to be pedal steel or fiddle, which again give you two different feelings and elicit two different emotions. But yeah, it's as far as like country sounds, they're gonna be in everything I do. They're true country sounds.
I love that. So when you say that this is getting picked up by radio stations, how does that process go, and what radio stations? Are they local ones?
Well, everybody's got them. Everything's satellite and terrestrial radio, all of them. They were sent the single and an EPK and the whole 9 yards through the distributor that we use. So they've got it. All they would have to do is go and look up in their and wherever they receive it and pull it. So you can call anyone and they'll be able to go in whatever they're doing and pull it. I think there's a way to kind of tap them on the shoulder a few more times, but you should be able to call your station and they should be able to look up and find it.
So you just call like radio station and say, hey, you know, would you play my song? How does that exactly work?
Call or email in. I know there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I know it's on all iHeart platforms as well. But we sent it out. It's not overseas quite yet. We focused on the United States of America. But that's kind of where everything's been. Everybody's like, we probably must have sent it out to 3,300, 4,000 places, something like that. So I know it got sent to billboards, just call whoever, whatever local station you have, if it's registered anywhere, they probably got it, or they have instructions on how to pull it.
Now, were you really excited about this song before you released it? Did you think you could? You just seen the reaction and been like, okay, wow, maybe this really is something.
I think as far as this song, Kobe right here. As far as the fiddle, I need to shout out my buddy Rylan too. Rylan Fowler's been with me for a long time. If y'all come to Nashville, next time you come, we'll try to do a show with him and me. We have a cool dynamic that we use. He's also another artist as well, so I'm glad he's finally trying to follow the artist route. But as far as this song, we wrote it, and all these next 4 songs that we're releasing, including this one that just dropped, we wrote them in the living room, and it's not really that we thought it would be a hit or anything. It's just something that we wanted to say and something that we hoped, or thought other people either needed or wanted to hear. Again, the person that's all balled up in his cubicle, working however many, just kind of doing data, or the person that's working the oil rig like Kobe right there, or the people that need a balance to their 9 to 5. They're all balled up and stressed and everything going on in the world, and they need a release. This song was meant to be the soundtrack of their release. Every one of these 4 songs is like that. It has something that we wanted to say, that I wanted to say, that I'm hoping other people needed or wanted to hear. So as far as whether it's a hit, the way that we do this is that we make the music and just release it. And like the people that listen to it, the listeners, the people that actually get to pull the music off and tell their own story within it, those are the people that decide where it goes at the end of the day. So
I feel like it's got to be tough as an artist, because on one hand, you have what your influences and what you personally enjoy, and you're writing music about your own personal experiences or things that maybe you think people want to hear about. But this also is a business, and you want the streams, and you want people to enjoy it at the shows. And so you put stuff out there, and you might get a reaction to something that maybe you didn't think might be good, and maybe love as much because you released it. So how do you balance that act of saying, hey, I really didn't love that song as much as others. I thought it was decent, but people really responded to it. So how do you balance that act of writing what the fans want versus what you want, or does that come all together?
I had a conversation with this about somebody the other day too, is that the truest thing, that's why I love country music so much and why it is so powerful is authenticity and emotion.
Yep.
Be who you are. At the end of the day, who you are changes because people evolve over their lives. But, what I've tried to do, again, you're finding your voice as an artist and finding out where your authenticity and how that translates into music, who you are translates into music. At the end of the day, balancing what some people are going to like what you do and some people are not going to like what you do, but you always have to be authentic. If you're not authentic, then it's exhausting to keep that up. You know what I mean? But the true power comes, again, when you have somebody in an interview or you have somebody in playing on stage or singing a song they wrote. Like, I feel that to the core, and I believe every word that's coming out, of anyone's mouth. So that's important. Authenticity is huge. So,
no, I agree wholeheartedly, and I think it's the only way to be happy in life is just to live true to yourself.
Yep.
If you can't put your head down at night and be happy with yourself, then nobody else is going to like you.
That and everybody can go back and figure out where the hell you've been on social media. So you might as well tell the damn truth.
besides writing music, what else do you enjoy?
Oh man, well, that's why I got this guy because we grew up with dogs in my household, but it was all labs and golden retrievers. So I had two dogs, and I figured I needed to get one. I got here and I purposely did not get a dog the first 6.5 years that I lived here because I wasn't gonna, neglect them because I was hustling all the time. I'm still hustling now, but I have a better control over what I do. So I enjoyed training him. I enjoy kind of hanging out with him. I've raised him in a way where he just loves people, and that's important. But I spend a lot of time with him. I go out and see my friends play. That's important too, and I love to do that. To go and sit in the audience and in the crowd and cheer somebody else on. I think that's a lot of fun. But again, it goes down to where you start getting out there with too many friends, and then you blink twice and you end up at Red Door. If you know what that is, then you're there and everybody's drunk, and it's a good time, but you just can't do that 7 days a week, bro. You cannot. You'll not really get in Nashville.
I will let you know you have a new fan. Her name is Mandy. She said she's so glad that she found this tonight. She just listened to a song, and oh my God, I'm hooked.
Well, yeah, let me know which one you listen to, because I'd love to know. This goes back to kind of what you were talking about, how some people like what you do and some people don't. I've got some people that love some of my older stuff. Even my dad. Oh, I had this conversation with my dad, dude. When I first started, I released some, I guess it would be George Stradier sounding music, which is a part of who I am. So it's not who I'm not, but my dad, he was not a country fan until I started playing that stuff. Laura is referencing a song that I released when I was first starting, when I should not have probably released it. This is a perfect example. Because I've talked to Laura right here about this from Montana. It's an evolution, and it's every song's important because you know where you come from, and I know when I first got, man, you think you have to be a certain way when you first get here. Sometimes the culture encourages you to do that. So when I started drinking a little bit, again, I grew up in Tennessee my whole life, and I hung out with my friends. My mom and dad don't have a huge twang. I have a little one, but that's because I was always hanging out with my friends. My mom and dad were doctors, so they were working all the time. But that twang came out a little bit more in my earlier stuff, and it's not that I was trying to overcompensate it. I just kind of let it fly, and but that comes from growing up in Tennessee. But then as time goes on, it's like, well, I go back and listen to some of that stuff, and that's kind of where I was at the time. But I talk like this. I remember my manager kind of pinned me one day, and he's like, bro, so I was going with a vocal coach at the time too, so it was kind of. We kind of discovered this, just sing how you talk, man. Just do it. There are times where I've talked to people that say I've got a twang, and then some people are like, no, there's no twang in you, period. So it's just kind of you just try to deliver it. But there's some of those early songs where I go back and listen, I'm like, man, was that really me? And it was. It's not that it's not, but it's a growth process. And you can see that in artists all over the place, including Garth and Tim, and you see their voices and the way they deliver lyrics evolve over time, which is really cool. And it's just like Danielle right here said, she goes, I love all your originals, you tell a story. And hopefully there's stories about where you've been and you deliver them the way that you feel they need to be delivered at the time.
Mandy said she listened to endlessly.
Yo, okay, yeah. That's a true, honest love song. Yep.
She said she's going to go listen to all of your songs now.
I love it. Yeah, let me know what you think. Make sure you send me a message. Let me know what you think. We've got another Endlessly-esque song coming out in October, but it's more of a leading song. As much as it is a leading song. But it's a song called Just the Way She Goes, and I wrote that with two of my buddies too, Jason Adam Williams, and it's kind of cool because I'm getting to the point where I'm really figuring out what my voice can do, because I didn't really sing a note until just before I moved to Nashville.
Really?
So I remember.
So you weren't an artist before you moved to Nashville?
No. I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life. and I kind of fell into it. What's funny story? I was at
I like how the one time I interview somebody who's an artist actually wasn't. You're the only person I interviewed who was an artist their entire life. Everybody I talked to, I didn't start off with your story from the beginning because everybody's like, "Yeah, I've been singing since I was a kid," and
right.
decided
And
to do
that's what
Nashville
you compete with
try
when
and
you
make
come
it.
here because everybody's been doing it since they were freaking 6. And then you're like, oh my God, I gotta get good or I have to leave.
That's what pisses me off with like my girlfriend. She's been dancing since she was 2, and everybody's like, "Oh, she's a total natural." I'm like, "She's been doing it 20 years. I've been taught for 2. Let's calm down here. There's a big difference there."
Muscle memory at this point. Yeah. So it was a guy named Skylar Anderson who was on the X Factor at 17. Amazing artist. I would tell you all to please follow him. Skylar Anderson, SKYELOR Anderson. Danielle right there knows him too. I was at the University of Memphis. I'd come back from Alabama for a little bit. And he got me on Instagram. I just got on Instagram and I was posting these awful covers not awful covers, but awful songs that I was writing at the time. And I say awful because we've come a long way, but like I go back and you gotta be like, oh man, like it's important to enjoy where you came from. But it was some rough stuff. But Skylar messaged me and he goes, hey, he said something like, hey, you don't suck. He's like, come open up for my band at, it was Dan McGinnis, which is South Haven. So this is Memphis. South Haven is in Mississippi, right? And I got in there and he goes, hey, you Greg? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm Skylar. You're going to play. And I sat in a chair and didn't even stand up. Sat in a chair, looked at the ground and sang my own stuff. And for some freaking reason, it went over okay. And that's when it started. But that was probably like, yeah, that was like half a year before I moved here. Got up and went boop. But I had to learn how to sing here, get a vocal coach. I'd been kind of toying around with guitar, but I didn't really learn how to chicken pick and do all that stuff until I moved here. So again, when you're talking about what your life is like when you're not, on stage or you're practicing, you're doing homework, you're doing, trying to do everything you can to make yourself better. And then you have to go out and have fun sometimes so you don't go crazy. But
how often do you see a vocal coach?
So I might go. Her name is Janet Kenyon. She's phenomenal. She does a lot of major artists too. Used to be the head of the performance department at Belmont. Wonderful lady. But I started out going 7 days a week.
Okay.
Went to 3 days a week. Went to 1 day a week, and now I go if I feel I'm developing a bad habit or I'm feeling like my vocally tired all the time. I'll go and she'll tell me, all right, here's the bad habits you picked up, and then she'll unscrew them.
When you're going 7 days a week, are these hour-long sessions you're spending with her?
Hour-long sessions. So this is when I was first trying to, I made the thing, because nobody, when they first come here is like, I need lessons, I need somebody to tell me what to do. No. So you surrender yourself to someone else's tutelage because there's a point where you figure out you don't know it all, and that we all hit that point. And I did. I'm a metal singer for doing that. I let her sit down, pick me apart. And the cool thing about Janet is that there's a lot of vocal coaches that teach you a certain way how to sing. Janet finds out what your internal voice is and finds your strengths, and she helps you max those out. And that's it. And then she tries to help you your bad habits that are going to interfere with your longevity vocally. So she also she taught me about how allergies kind of screw with me. The Nashville air and what parts of which season affect what part of my range. After doing it for so long now I know what's gonna kind of mess with me, and I know to when I really need to not miss an allergy pill or Nasacort and stuff, because it does add up, and you'll end up losing your voice if you don't treat it appropriately. So
Sing to me.
It's tough. It's the voice is a very resilient, but also like super fragile thing where it's like when you lose it, you can't fly. It's like you want to fly and you can't fly, and it's frustrating. But we got it now where I don't think I've truly lost my voice in it's been over a year and a half. I got sick like a year and a half ago, and I got a really bad cold, and I just had nothing.
Really?
But
How long did that last?
man, honestly, it took to get back to 100%. It took me like 4 weeks.
Wow, that's a long time,
Your
especially
body
when
feels
you're
better.
you might make it.
Yeah, your body can feel better, but like your voice will take a while, and you got to just kind of be good to it. But it's a muscle. You got to work it like a muscle.
So
So
are you like
sometimes you
cautious of how much you talk to people on the phone, or how much singing you're doing in your off time?
Yep.
Wow.
It's all directed towards somewhere. You just got to learn how to make it make it part of a lifestyle that's gonna let you until you're 85. It's tough to do. It's tough to do.
So
So
after you take these vocal lessons, and I'm curious too, when you go to, is this like a studio they have?
yeah, so she actually does it. She has a little studio that she built in her house.
Okay, so you just
It's,
go because
yeah.
like I'm trying to picture like a dance studio. So I've taken dance lessons and golf lessons over the years. So obviously when you go to a dance studio, sometimes it is kind of frustrating. So I'm trying to dance to a waltz. So we're playing waltz music, but another instructor needs to play tango music. So it kind of coincides. So I was curious,
Oh,
is it like, does somebody have a vocal studio and they have, people that work under them and everybody comes in here and goes into a booth and takes time working with these people?
Depends on where you go and who your teacher is. But I know a lot of people have gone to, again, because she used to run the Belmont Performance Department, and she went and then she started doing it privately, and like just nothing interferes. Quick hour session, so like 4 or 5 or 6 in a day, bam, 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 bam. And it just, yeah, but no, I'm sure dance in a dance studio where you're like, you have open sound going like 5 different ways. And man, that's exhausting.
Well, I intentionally take my lessons either as soon as the studio opens in the afternoon or late at night, where maybe there's one other. Because if you take it in a group class, there's so much commotion going on, and you can't focus on anything. And like I was talking about with another artist for me. So I don't know. Have you met Madeline Concert yet? Have you met Madeline Concert yet?
I don't know.
Okay.
Have I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys follow each other or not or have met. But I was
We
talking
don't
to her.
need to.
Say what now?
I said if we don't, we need to.
Okay. Yeah, no, she's great. You need to meet, well, either my buddy Jerry, because he got there a little before you, and then he wrote a project for Chase McDaniel, and obviously it's become a hit, and I'm super happy for him. I was talking to her, she always, the further you made it, they start hooking you up with vocal coaches. And I asked her, because, whenever I was playing golf, I have a golf coach. I don't want anybody, same with dancing right now. I have a dance instructor. I don't want anybody else giving me dance tips. I'm dancing with her. There's a million different ways to do it. I know she knows what works best for me. My golf coach knows what works best for me. So I don't want to hear, what anybody else is saying. And it's kind of the same thing for me with golf as it was with what you're telling about your vocal instructors. They're going to take what you have naturally and make it better, not try and make you into somebody else.
That's the goal. If you find somebody who can do that.
Yes.
Yes, Tyler Roy. I have run into Jason Cross and Sadie Bass. I love them both to death. Dude,
I'm sure you and I have to have a lot of mutual friends.
probably. I'm surprised we haven't met before. I've been watching all y'all's videos and y'all been everywhere, but like.
No, it was our first time in Nashville. It was Emily's birthday, but I got lucky because my best friend, so he was from Charleston, and he was playing golf professionally. I played golf competitively over the years, and he got the job at UAB, and then Oxford, and then Vanderbilt just hired him. And Vanderbilt's the #1 team in the country. So it's a pretty sweet gig. So now I got a place to stay anytime I want to come to Nashville. But it's just such a long drive from here.
I feel that. Where are you at again?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's 8 hours, but with all the stops, and sometimes I just want to take a break from driving. Like we went and sat in Bojangles for like 30, 45 minutes just to take a breather,
Yeah, Bojangles would be the place to do it.
Yes.
I grew up next to a Popeyes, and Popeyes, that's
yeah, love Popeyes.
I'll never forget. Never forget. It was
Yeah.
Popeyes, and then KFC was next to it, but KFC was always out of freaking chicken. It was weirdest shit in the world. Like we get up there, like, hey, can we get a bucket? And then they're like, sorry, we're out of chicken, but if you wait for a minute, we'll get you a biscuit. And we're like, what? And then next door, that's how we first tried Popeyes, and I hate to say it, but we never went back. So
Never went back to Popeyes?
No, never went back to KFC.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't had KFC in forever. Popeyes is the best. Both Angles is solid too.
No, I haven't had them in a while. We're getting all our cool restaurants here in Nashville too. Like finally got the Cookout, got the Whataburger that's got the Forever line. We're about to get our Buc-ee's. That's the move, dude. Once Buc-ee's is going to be in Murfreesboro. I was thinking like 25.
I need to keep you far away from Emily. You're talking about Matt Rife and Buc-ee's. Those were like two of her top 5 favorite things in the world.
My old friend Jamie had she put everybody on a bus and took them to Buc-ee's for her birthday, and I want to do that. I think that's fantastic. A birthday party at Buc-ee's, that's incredible. I don't know how she thought of it, but it's amazing. So might happen. We're in big bucks.
I don't get the hype around Buc-ee's. I just don't get it.
What? Have you been there though? Haven't you?
Yeah, no, twice. I forget where we were going. We have traveled so much this year. We were driving somewhere, and she's like, "Oh, you're gonna love Buc-ee's. It's so great, dude." Everybody's like screaming, and they're like, "Oh, we got this, we got that. Come get it." I'm just like, I just want to just walk into somewhere and be nice and quiet.
I've got for the first release of the year, Danielle actually sent me some pajama pants that are Buc-ee's, like some hang pants. They're like black with the Buc-ee's logo. Freaking sick, dude. I'm sorry, like I didn't understand the hype until so it's interesting that you went there and you don't feel the hype because did you eat the food?
I did get a muffin the second time, yes.
Muffin? Oh man, so you gotta try both the barbecue turkey sandwich and the brisket sandwich. You gotta try some of their beef jerky. Yeah, there's just so much stuff.
My buddy was talking about the beef jerky, but the problem is, it reminds me of an airport. Trying to get in there, get out, and just like, I just want to be able to breathe and just walk in the bathroom and be nice and quiet. But it was like a line to get in the bathroom. The first time I went,
we went once and there was nobody there. I don't know what happened, but I was just like, oh well, and I still spent $200. I was just in and out like that because I knew exactly what I wanted. But yeah, it's just like if a truck stop was a Disney World, it's literally Buc-ee's. But I don't know. I'm gonna get that endorsement one day. I know so many artists trying to get the Buc-ee's endorsement. Everyone's trying.
Is Buc-ee's like a new thing?
Huh?
Is Buc-ee's like a new thing?
I don't think so. I know it started out in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, but if it's a theme park truck stop.
I think we were on the way back home from somewhere. We were on the back way home from Jacksonville the one time we went there. So I went to that one, and then I think we went to one, I think it was right around Knoxville is the one we went to on the way back.
We would stop Centerville, Georgia, and I know they have one in Crossville, Tennessee. And they're about to have one in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Dude, I'm so glad it's not. Like, if it was actually in the city of Nashville, I would be 50 pounds heavier. I know I would.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's all the way down there.
Dude, I don't know how people do it in Nashville. So, have you been in Charleston before?
I want to say if I did, it was with like my parents when I was a lot younger. Probably.
So downtown Charleston is similar to Nashville, but it's not anywhere near as busy. So I mean, it's probably like a tenth or 2/3, or not 2/3, like 2/10 of Nashville. It's similar, but it's just not. I mean, I'm glad I experienced it, but I don't know how you do it, parking there and walking around with all those people. And then I was sitting there looking at, just to get in the bar when we left at 3 o'clock was to get in the bars at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I couldn't do it every day.
It's a lot. I know when I'm not working, like I usually stay away from the head, like Midtown. I love Midtown, but that's where most of the locals go anyway. So winners, losers, it's kind of cool and there's a lot of like little places. Because I know people talk about Nashville now like it's the town where there's one guy on TikTok that was like, Nashville sucks because all people do is drink and that's it. And that's not true because there's like little pockets of original music where people are playing their own stuff that they wrote themselves in their living rooms and they're inspiring stories and stuff. And there's people, this is country music, not only country music, but music, one of the music meccas of the world. There's nowhere else quite like this. So like if you do come to Nashville, for everyone that's watching, work to find those places like the Local or the Listening Room or there's a lot of really cool places where people only play original music, and you get to hear like what Nashville is truly about is is it is Music City. It has been commercialized, and there's the Broadway where everybody gets drunk out of their minds and does stupid stuff and have the time of their lives. And again, offload their stress. It's important. But man, there's some rich music history and places where you can actually go see songwriters and writers rounds that are working. What is it? Commodore Brill is another one with Debbie Champion. That was the first songwriter round I ever played, where I met Craig Martin, who wrote "Don't Take the Girl." So it's and there's places where the food is fantastic too, and there's a lot more to Nashville than just the Broadway. But although the Broadway is super fun,
it's an experience. I just couldn't do it all the time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that Tin Pan South's another big songwriter thing, and there are guys that'll play these rounds that have huge hits. Live Oak on Demumbrian is also a good place. Tin Roof on Demumbrian also does it. So, but yeah, I feel like every city's like that. Every city is known for something, has all this other great stuff. But Nashville is Music City because there is still music here, and it's absolutely amazing as far as, and you can see it in all of its stages, especially with people who just got here. So,
well, hopefully you can get down here in Charleston and play a show soon.
Yo, I'd be down. We're working on right now at least a 150-mile radius of Nashville. So, yeah, if you want us to, we will figure out someone to talk to. But I'm always down to travel. I'm absolutely down to travel. I love traveling. So I think once we get up on the road and we get to where we're doing a bus, the road's gonna be home.
Unfortunately here, so we have the Country Bar we line dance at in Charleston, which is 20 minutes north of downtown Charleston. And they used to do a lot of live music, but COVID really hurt the bar, and we're kind of just now getting back to a point. And then there's a bar downtown on Market Street called Henry's on the Market. And so the GM and minority owner, he grew up doing what you're doing, playing bars in Nashville all the time, traveling. So he turned it into a honky tonk. It's just like every bar in Nashville. You have 4 different levels with different acts, every single one.
How busy does it get? Does it get like pretty busy, or? So
the problem is like there's artists in Charleston. People, it's like the only place in Charleston that you can do what you guys do. So it's hard. I mean, I can obviously pass your name along, but he just has so many acts hit him up. He doesn't need and then the unfortunate part is every room isn't big. Like I think upstairs, which is the biggest part, they can fit like 200 people. So, what's that room? They can't get like a bigger name artist because they can't charge enough to get in the door, to make enough money off the gate. So, it's just tough. And I don't know. I wish I could. I know people, but it's just nobody's getting. There's not like big time venues where I can call and say, hey, I got this amazing artist who could play. Everybody would love him. There's just not that many places down here who do that.
I think so. Coming from a guy that literally every moment that I can, I'm on a stage. I think I'm always thankful to the venue, and I can, some venues are very capable, have all the gear. Some venues have the size. At the end of the day, hey brother, I won't take that away from you. All right. Yeah, sorry. Take this away from you. Sorry, buddy. It's not, I don't think it's always about, you want to do the best you can on whatever venue you book, but the magic and the power in the show comes from the people that show up and the people that watch. And it's just an exchange of energy. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day, we're going to do the best possible job we can to make the venue look good and get them to make all the money that they want to make. But as far as somebody like me coming out to play somewhere, it's about the people that show up and the people that watch the show and the moment that we make that day. Yeah. So it's that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be so scared of, not scared, but, hesitant about, this is not a venue where you can bring a big artist out, because there's a lot of us that'll play on a little, shack somewhere out on the beach, and it's one of the best shows ever. And again, you have people that get big overnight, and they're trying to figure out where to seat all these people that show up. It's about that crowd there and the show itself at that time. So
absolutely, if I can pass it along,
I'll come down there. I will come down there. I'll tell you.
Listen, especially if you happen to play, in a couple areas near here, and I can talk to him then too. Try and get you another gig here. Just let me know if you're traveling this way.
Routing, so like we'll route through and find if we're out there. We'll try to get some shows on the way and some back. We're always down. So that's just a discussion. I know my manager's in here too. Just a discussion for whatever the venue is and him, and they do the business. I have to focus on being an artist, and I let them do the business. You know what I mean?
Why don't you go eat some dinner, brother?
Do it, man. Dude, thanks for having me on, dude.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming on. I'm so glad we got to meet you and do this. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the future.
Y'all need to we do need to talk about that. Y'all doing the dance and all the stuff that we were talking about, because I am interested in that.
What? Yeah, just shoot me a text with this. We'll plan. Give me a call. Either we can do it tomorrow night or Wednesday night. We're typically free Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoons, beginning of the week.
Today's Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yep.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, today's Tuesday. Yeah, today is Tuesday. Did I say call me Tuesday or Wednesday? I'm losing track.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'll give you a call tomorrow night. We'll figure it out.
Sounds good. Let's talk to you, bro.
All right, tell your girl I said hey.
I will. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Bye, man.
See you, bud.